Good morning, everybody. It's me, Coffee Stitcher. It is the second week of November, and it's time for the weekly video. Veterans Day was yesterday, so I'd like to say thank you to all our veterans out there, both on FlossTube and not on FlossTube. I may not always agree with these situations, but I always support you for being willing to do what I don't. So that was everybody's week. I'm really glad to hear that. I had kind of an interesting Stitchy week. I'm gonna leave it at that to a degree. No, I'm kidding. That's the video. Bye, y'all. No, I kid. So we've got some Q&A. We've got some starts. We've got partial finishes. We've got a whole lot going on. So we'll go with the Q&A as always first. A little shout out to Sarah Grenier, who I believe binged me over the last 2 weeks. So congratulations on making it to the end. Alright, Julie Susicle Stitcher says, I am getting ready to cut my fabric for Sing a Sampler. I know you haven't been working on that one, but I wondered if you could tell me the length and width you are using for your project. I've never stitched something so long and skinny, and I just don't want to mess it up. What I've got, and I should have measured, but I didn't. What we did for what Organic Granny and I did was we took a fat half and cut it in half. So here's your fabric. We cut it in half this way. Because you really don't need a full fat half widthwise. You just need it lengthwise. So there you go. Yeah, so just take a fat half and cut it in half. You could, if you were industrious, and so felt the need, you could, and you wanted to use the same color for both, you could actually use one fat half for Giant Harry and cut it in half that way, and then you have the fabric for Giant Harry Potter and for Do-Re-Mi. Alright. Darling King, I love me some damn Yankees. I actually saw that was from the revival in 2009 with Jane Krakowski and Sean Hayes. It was really, really good. Beaker Sanute, when you order floss from 123 Stitch, does it last longer than a skein of DMC? It's not their own specific floss. 123 Stitch is just is a retailer. They're an online needle workshop. So you're buying the same you're buying weeks or whatever you want. So it really depends on which brand. Gentle Arts, you can buy 5 and 10 yard skeins, so the 5 yard is obviously less than DMC, but the 10 yard is obviously more. Weeks is 5 yards. Rainbow Gallery is a ridiculous amount of yards. Karen Collection is 36 yards. It really just depends on what you're doing and what you're ordering. Joey Bedard asks, what does Thread Heaven and Beeswax do for your threads, and when do you use them? Sometimes I find that DMC threads get kind of fluffy, and I don't care for that. Do these products help keep the threads from looking fuzzy? Do you think it's happening on my Frosted Pumpkin Happily Ever After piece I'm working on? It's on Crystal Helix linen. Do you think this has something to do with the metallic fibers in the fabric? What Thread Heaven and Beeswax do is they condition the thread, which makes it go through the holes easier, which is why I mostly use it for filament silks, because those can be sort of slippery, and I use it on metallics, because it makes it easier to go through the fabric. It won't prevent the fluffiness. You're going to get a little bit of that fluffy because you're using an opal fabric, because you've got the thread that's going against it. And that's going to sort of fluff it up. It does do that. So, it's, I think, going to be more a situation of it being the linen versus the actual DMC, and Thread Heaven and Beeswax really won't help with that. Or at least I don't think they do. I could be wrong, and maybe someone else will say, no, actually, Garrett, you are wrong, and they can explain, and next week we can follow up. Helen S. asks, what made you take up stitching again in 2014? I bought a Emerald City chart from Camelot Designs off of an Oz Group sale page, because at the time I was living at home, and Mom was letting me sort of decorate the guest bedroom, because I was sleeping in the guest bedroom to sort of give me more space, and my bedroom became more of a living room. So I was decorating a little bit, and I wanted something small, and I thought, that would look really nice, and it would fit more of my mother's decor, because I wasn't going to repaper, I wasn't going to, throw everything out, it was just going to be, we're going to make it look a little more like I live here. And so I decided to get that and start it, and I just absolutely fell in love. So that's what made me start again, was I wanted to make something for my wall. Alright, Lori Graffor asks, what is your favorite specialty thread? Because she's using Weeks for the first time and likes and loves them. Which ones do you recommend and why do you like them? I personally love, in terms of cotton, Gentle Arts. Color and cotton is also very similar in both. I feel like Weeks has a tendency to be kind of thin and knots up, where both Color and Cotton has been beautiful knot to on my Stitchy Box sampler. And Gentle Arts, I have very little trouble with that with. I also like the colors in the Gentle Arts line better than I do Weeks. So that one's my personal favorite. So, there you go. And we'll get to the, I guess I'll go ahead, since this sort of came up. Lizzie Kate's Spirit of Christmas Sal, I think, is going to become a UFO. Unless I can really figure out how to redo the verse, because I do not like that verse at all. I like the different little symbols, sort of, but I'm just not wild about it overall, so we'll see. And that, I believe, are all the questions. Alright, so, there's no haul this week, but there are lots of things to show. So, okay, so for Nano Stitchmo, I was working on Blue Jeans and Daisies, and this is, I'm calling a quasi-finish, because after talking to Trisha a little more, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and personalize the middle to be more like our front yard when we eventually get a house, which is a couple of years off. But I did finish that block, so now all that's left is the center. So that's where this one is going to stay for now. So it was really lovely to get back to working on it. But like I said, I'm going to wait until we actually have a house, and then I'm going to finish it out. So, there was that. Then, as you probably recall, I was going to finish up the Sorcerer's Stone section of Harry Potter, and I did. And now I can show you what that metallic, the Krennic that I bought last week, and said, well, it's for a surprise. So, here we are. So that's down through Sorcerer's Stone finished. The Wizard's Chess, obviously, I finally finished. But my little addition was I added the Mirror of Erised around the stone, and that was what the Krennic was for. So, there we go. I'm actually really pleased with how the mirror turned out. And it's a little hard to tell on film, but I did do a couple of different colors in the actual glass, so that it would have that sort of aged glass mirror look. So, and it's also a little hard to tell, but the white chess pieces show up much better in person than they do on camera. So we did that. So that's put away for now. The next time I pull it out is going to be to work on Border and the Chamber of Secrets. So that'll be next month. Alright, so we did that. I worked a little bit on Woodland Fairy. I filled in a little bit of the top part of her bodice up here. So, and I'll probably work a little bit more on her this week. Alright. Right now, what I'm working on today is I'm finishing up part 1 of the Ship's Manor Christmas Town. So I've got the tower done, so I've got some trees, I've got the landing strip, and I've got the mountains. I think I'm actually, once I get this filled in, I'll have a little bit better idea, but I'm thinking I may not stitch the icicle, which is the blue. I may just leave it, since it's kind of close to the color of the fabric. I think I may just leave that. Alright, so Nano Stitch Mo Part 2 is going to be the page finish on Longfellow's Round Tower. So, I actually did 100 stitches yesterday, so I'm going to just finish this. So I'm just going to leave that, and then I'll take this to work to start on. So I'll finish up the page, and that'll be my goal number 2 of Nano Stitch Mo, which I likely will finish out this week, if not early next week. So there may be a third project that gets pulled in for Nano Stitch Mo. I'm not sure yet. And then I had 2 new starts. One of which, so I started Thorn Castle, which is in this year's Just Cross Stitch Halloween. It's on the Stitchy Box fabric from last week. That's my little start on it. But then I was like, I'm really not feeling Halloween. So I started it. This may go away until I feel Halloween again. Because I'm not really feeling Halloween right now. And then I also started my first Shepherd's Bush. This is Gypsy Hearts. It's a kit. I got it at the retreat. It was one of the Past the Stash Table pieces. So that's what I started with. So I got 1 heart done. I really actually love this piece. The colors, purple's my favorite color. It's not something I normally do. But it has this wonderful 1990s feel that I'm digging. And I don't know, I really like this one. And I kind of think in some ways that's a little bit how my taste is kind of going right now. It's kind of I probably will finish this and never display it, but I think it's pretty and I want to work on it. So, there may be another start or 2 that happens, but we'll see. Probably not. I'm going to try and keep it under control. So I think that's kind of it. I should be getting, probably this week sometime, my Ship's Manor Fabric of the Month. There will definitely be a video next week. I'll give you a little bit of a heads up. There may not be one the week after. We're going out of town to see his parents. So I'm not sure what kind of stitching I'm going to get done over the actual Thanksgiving holiday. I'm going to take with me, but I don't know if I'm actually going to get anything done. So, yeah. Anyway, that's kind of it for me for now. I hope everyone has a great week, and I will see you all later.